Okay, I know it's been a while now since I finished this Google Play Radio project. But my original video of it wasn't very good because I was filming it with my phone. I was trying to hold the camera steady while I was using the front panel, and it didn't end up very well. So I just wanted to redo that video basically, so I can get a better view. You can get a better view of it. Got a new camera, a new tripod, and holds the camera a lot steadier. It's easy to see. So hopefully this should be a lot better video. And I do kind of want to try this camera, see how good it is. It's looking pretty good so far. So hopefully my video should start being a lot better quality from now on. So yeah, back to the radio. I've also put another couple of features on the radio that weren't covered in the original video, and there was probably a lot in the original video I didn't cover very well because if I remember rightly, I was kind of rushing it a little bit. Now there were parts where I just went off topic, started talking about things that weren't particularly relevant, and so yeah, this is just going to be a relatively quick overview video anyway. So this is the front. This is the radio, the front panel. None of this has changed since the last video, but I'll go over it anyway. The volume encoder, and pressing it turns off power or re-enables power to the internal amplifiers. That would only really be useful if you had an auxiliary output or a headphone output, which there is a header for both of those on the main board. I just didn't put one on, and I don't really think I would have used it that much anyway. So this is the menu position or menu cursor encoder. It's just used for browsing through the menus, and pressing that would select the menu item you're on. This black button, there is two black buttons there, but you can't really see them very well against the acrylic, but in reality they are a lot more clear. This black button is to go back on the menu. This black button changes between the menu display and the now playing song display, if there is a song playing. The blue button is for play pause. This white one is for next track. This is for stop playback, and this is for Last.fm, to love a track on Last.fm and to like it on Google Play. The LCD there, just the 4-line by 20 character standard character display, and you can see there. You can see the two 3-inch diameter speakers in there. You just about see the aluminium sort of mesh on there as well. And the case in general, I mean, if you remember back to when I built the coffee table, the like sort of media coffee table, you can see it's got a lot of the style. That it shares a lot of the same style that has, with the same sort of flexible plywood, spray painted black with the. I don't think you can see it. You really can't see it well on the video, but in reality, because of the fine grain of the. Oh no, you can see it there. You get this really nice grain effect on the like the stretched side of the flexible plywood. It looks really nice when you spray paint it. So yeah, this is it's quite nice. It's quite nice, like sort of modern touch, like the old style 1930s sort of radio, which is sort of the style I was going for with the enclosure. On the back of the radio, you can see there's these 3 catches here, which just take this black panel off, just so you can get in the back if I ever needed to. Well, I haven't really. I mean, most of the time, all the electronics is just kept on working, and software updates I just do through SSH. So I don't even need to get to the memory card or anything, which is good because it is still a bit of a pain to get to. Also, as well, if you can just see, the gap between this yellow acrylic there and down there. That's the very awkward place where the fuse is, so hopefully I'll never have to change the fuse. So yeah, the back panel, we've just got these two panels down here. This one is just the power switch and the DC power jack. This just takes in anywhere between, let me think, between 10.7 and 13 or something. I'll have to check that, but it's not a very narrow. It's not a very wide input range, but usually around 12 volts. It's happy with. This panel, this is just the back of the Raspberry Pi there. So you've got the Ethernet jack there, the USB socket, and this part here I've left open so you can see the status LEDs on the Pi through the acrylic. So that's why this panel is clear acrylic. And this one isn't actually held in. It isn't glued in. It's just held in by the folded over edges of the USB connector. So that's pretty much it for the back as well. I was thinking about maybe having holes in the back of there to improve the acoustics, but I don't actually think it needs it. I don't really know. I don't pretend to be an expert on acoustics, so I don't really know what the relevance is. Something to do with airflow around the speakers, but I think it honestly sounds better when it's got a closed enclosure rather than an open one. So it sounds better to me, so I'll just leave it like that. I don't really know the advantages of having an open enclosure or anything, so I'm happy with the case as it is anyway. So that's pretty much it. I think most of the main design parts of the case are covered in an earlier video. So yeah, I think let's get it reconnected and power it back up now and give a proper demonstration of the software, the user interface and that sort of stuff. Alright, so the radio's powered up now. This is the home screen you get, the main menu you get when you power it on. This has the options to go and view the queue, playlists, library and settings menu. The queue is basically just mirrors the queue functionality on the web player or the Android or any other player. So it just lists tracks in order that they were added, in order they were selected to be played. And you can go through that and play that. You can select any track on there that's been played or is queued to be played and select it to play it now. Playlists shows a list of playlists that you have on that you've saved to use in either the web interface or the Android application or any other player that supports Google Play Music. And then that shows. So selecting one of these playlists will then show a list of tracks on that playlist. The library, on here you browse the library by selecting the first letter of the artist first. That's just because it can take a long time to scroll through a list of say 450 artists, which is I think around what I have in my library. So say if I wanted to listen to Sabaton, I would only have to scroll down from A. Let's show that actually. If I just scroll back up to the start of the list, so to listen to Sabaton, I would only have to scroll down to S. And then, yeah, it's the first one on the list. And then I'll get a list of albums by Sabaton. And this actually shows, I actually can't see any on here, but this would actually show, say, things like compilation albums that the artist appears on as well. So it's probably not the most intelligent way to display albums, but it works well enough anyway. So then you can go and select one of these albums and get a list of tracks that are on the album. Only problem with this at the moment is, which I've actually pretty much fixed. I just need to push it to GitHub and then download it back onto here. Is that tracks on an album aren't displayed sorted by track number, which is only really a problem if you have, say, albums that are specifically designed to be played. You know, they're put together and recorded in such a way that they're supposed to be played in a certain order, which most of the time I'm usually listening to playlists on this anyway, so it hasn't been much of a problem so far. It would just be nice to get it fixed as well. So as I say, I've pretty much got that fixed now. I just need to actually test it and make sure everything's make sure it's working properly, but that shouldn't be too difficult to get done. So you can set one of these tracks to play, and when you do that, it just takes a couple of seconds, and then it would show the now playing display. One of the other problems I found is, well, not really a problem really, but since when you power it on, the volume's always set to 0, you do always have to turn the volume control up before you can start listening. I don't count it as a problem really, it's just a little bit annoying at times. But so this is the now play display. The first line is the track title, second is the artist, third is the album, and the last line is split between this display, which changes between playing and paused, depending whether it's playing or paused. So yep. So the second part of that line shows the play mode. So at the moment it's in linear play mode. So the order that you saw the tracks on the this track display of that album, that's the order it would get added to the queue, and so that's the order that it would be played in linear mode. So if I press the next button now, the next track to be played will be We Burn. So yeah, that's the next track that's been played, and that's what linear mode is. That can also say random if it's in random play mode. So I'll go over this a bit better in a minute, but to set that, you just go into the settings menu, and if I just let's go back onto the queue for now. So in linear mode, the next track to be played would be In the Name of God, but since it's in random mode, if I press next, so it's not the next song that's played. Yeah, well, that's random and linear mode, basically. So that's browsing the library basically. I'll just go over the other things in the settings now. Toggle repeat, that's really only useful in linear play mode. But basically when it gets to the last track over the queue, instead of stopping, which it would usually do, it'll go back and play the first track in the queue. But since in repeat mode it always just plays a random track next anyway, it doesn't really ever technically get to the last of the queue. Clear queue just stops playback and clears the queue. Toggle scrobbling is that's for Last.fm, so if you play music you don't want people to know that you've been playing, fair enough if you are, you can turn that off. I just tend to leave it on, but just put it on there for completeness, because most of the players that support Last.fm have that feature, so I just thought it was a standard thing to put on. Reload library, that's useful if say you've added more music to your library, if you've uploaded more to the music manager maybe. Then reload library just discards the current local library and reloads it from, gets a fresh copy of the library from Google Play Music. So that would let you add your new music while the radio's on, and then you wouldn't have to power cycle the radio when you want to play it on the radio. I don't tend to use that much, but it's there for if I needed it. So if I just go back to the main menu now, I'm going to playlists. So this is just a list of all the playlists that I have. So if I just select one of these, and this is the order of the playlist on the web interface as well. So if I went onto the web interface, so this doesn't have the same problem that the albums do, where the track order is. Haven't actually noticed how the tracks in the album are ordered yet. I think it's ordered by, well, it will be ordered by the order that they're returned by the web service, but I'm not sure what that is yet. I can maybe specify the web service to return it in order, but I haven't checked yet. But yeah, you can just, same here, if you just select a track, it'll start playing. And obviously, because it's a character, it's limited characters on this display, and if well, either a title, artist, or an album will get limited to 20 characters for this display. And any field that isn't there will just it'll just be blank line. So this one doesn't have an album associated with it, so it's just got the blank line there. Also, anything that has, say, characters that can't be displayed on this display. There's one there. I'm not actually sure what that character is, but yeah, that actually may be a tilde, because I think I actually use tilde as the delimiter for the serial data. But there's another one. That's from what I remember, that's a mixture of kanji and hiragana. So yeah, this display, I think I've only got it set up to use all of, well, the way I'm using it, I'm just using the first 128 ASCII characters. I think this display can support full ASCII, or ASCII extended, or whatever it's called, which is basically the equivalent of UTF-8. But obviously there are a couple of characters that I'm using as my delimiters to send the serial data from the Pi to the Arduino. So I think that's why I've also excluded tilde, and I think hash as well. I think tilde and hash are the ones that I'm using. Mainly just because I don't often see those in any of my music libraries, so I thought I would use those. I didn't want to pick something obvious like comma or colon or anything like that, which is what I suppose you would instinctively delimit data by. So yeah, there's quite a lot that like this, but really, I'm pretty sure a lot of these ones are actually kanji in there, so really there isn't really a lot you can do with that on a character display. You really need a graphic display to display those properly, but it's good enough anyway. If you've already got playlists configured and playlists set up, what I tend to do is just put on a playlist and then leave it on random a lot of the time. But it would be nice to display the characters properly. So yeah, at the moment this should be also scrobbling to Last.fm, so if I just load up my Last.fm profile, with any luck it should be saying I'm listening to this track. And it's actually not saying that I'm listening to it, but it is saying that I'm scrolling from the radio, which I've noticed a couple of times. It sometimes won't say what I'm listening to, but you can see it has shown the last two Sabaton tracks I listened to. And if I skip this track and just waited a bit for obviously the API to finish making API calls, and then it should tell me. So yeah, now it is saying the track I'm currently listening to. So that's the one I've just skipped, and this is what I'm listening to now. So yeah, I don't know if that's just the Last.fm API or it's the way I'm calling it or something, but I've noticed that a couple of times. I've noticed that on Play Music CL as well, which uses pretty much the same code as this, so it's not impossible, it's just the way I'm using it. You can also thumbs up music on Last.fm, so this one now I've just checked, and this one currently doesn't have a heart on Last.fm. I'm not sure whether it's got a thumbs up in Player. I don't think it has. So if I press this now and just reload my Last.fm and Google Play, so you can see in Google Play this is the track here, and it now has a thumbs up. And in Last.fm, it's not displayed there anymore, but you can see in the recent activity, it says I recently loved Yonihaku Depression Cybernetics. So that does work. It's not well. The only part which isn't working properly is obviously the displaying of the track that you currently listen to. But I'm not entirely sure what I'm doing wrong with that. So if anybody has any ideas, then it'd be good to know. But it's not a really serious problem anyway. So yeah, just stop playback there, then just go back to the main menu. If I go into the queue now, you can see there's all of this playlist that I just listened to. And also when you do go onto the queue, it puts the cursor at the position of the track that you currently listen to, or the last track you listened to at least. So yeah, that's got all of that playlist. And then obviously going to settings and clear queue. Queue will now be empty. I need to fix that as well. There's a small... That's on most of the menu actually. There's a little bug where I think it's if your cursor is on the second menu item. No, if it's on the first menu item, it can tend... If it's on the first menu item but the cursor is on the third line, there's just a little bug with the way that I calculate where menu items are displayed. But you could see there where it had settings at the top. It's not actually... That's not the menu looping round, that's actually not supposed to happen. So those are a couple of things I'm going to fix in probably later today. So those shouldn't take too long to fix, they're both pretty simple things. There was that in the track order sorting in the album view. So that's pretty much it. Can't think of anything else really. So yeah, it has been working pretty well so far. I mean, I've been using it, well, not daily, but I've been using it quite a lot. I usually just power it up and have it playing music just while I'm using my PC. It's been pretty good. I'm quite impressed by the audio quality as well, considering the small size of the speakers and the cheap amplifiers, the cheap low powered amplifiers, and the fact that the way I've routed the audio circuitry on the board, and it's probably really not ideal, but and considering what happened with the last project that I did that had audio circuitry in it, which was the coffee table, that had very similar audio circuitry in it. It used the same amplifiers and similar speakers, and that had pretty bad audio quality. It had very bad interference, that. But I think the fact with this one, I've actually taken time to design the power supply properly, and I'm using, so the Pi has its own isolated power supply, the Arduino has an isolated power supply. So the digital potentiometers, they're isolated from the audio output of the Pi, and it's just a lot nicer. You don't have the ground problems that I was having before. That's the problem. So the audio ground and the digital logic ground, they're actually separate now. So that's one of the reasons why I'm not getting all these problems that I was having with the coffee table. Especially since on the coffee table I was using matrix drivers, and they were sharing the same ground as the audio ground, and that was putting a lot of interference into it. It was just bad to design that, but I think I've solved a lot of problems with this. So that's pretty much it. Yeah. A couple of other things I was going to put on this. I was quite wanting to put an LCD, what am I talking about? Infrared remote on here, but I don't know. I kind of don't think that would have been very useful, really. it would be good. It would be good. It would have been good to have it on it, but it's just not something I can see myself using that much. The same I was thinking of putting it. So it was including the HTTP API, so you could just post to it, and it would control. So basically, it's similar in the ways that you can control a Roku media player over HTTP. So you could just make calls to it, and it could control the play mode. Basically emulate pressing any of these buttons, but I don't think it's that important. And that's just a software thing, so I can easily add that later. Other things, I was gonna have it so that you could put a battery in it, and a rechargeable lithium polymer battery, and then it would be portable, but I never got around to that, and there isn't really a lot of space left in the back of it, as you could see earlier, so I didn't bother with that in the end. And I was also going to put Wi-Fi on it as well, but because the USB ports are exposed on the back, that'll be easy to add, and you can easily just set Wi-Fi up with SSH. So other than that, it's more or less how I intend it to be. Really, I'm quite happy with it. Anyway, thanks for watching.